Windows 7 was released back in October of 2009 by Microsoft, and it's one of the most popular operating systems even today. Even though it was discontinued back in 2020, Windows 7 has still been used by a lot of people. It's because a lot of hardware supports it, and this can support low-end and high-end hardware. This is a laptop that originally came on Windows Vista, and it's a really nice laptop for what it is. It's a Dell Latitude E6400. This laptop has pretty low-end hardware today. It's got an Intel Core 2 Duo, it's got 4GB of RAM, and it's got an SSD. The only thing that I upgraded on this was the SSD. And I've had this laptop for over a year now, and it's been good. So Microsoft doesn't really want people using Windows 7 now because it's been replaced by Windows 8, Windows 10, and Windows 11, and even 8.1 if you count that. This OS, I feel like Microsoft really hated from the beginning. Even though it was very popular, Windows 7 was replaced less than 3 years later on Windows 8 in 2012. Windows 8 was a complete failure. I only know like 2 people that like Windows 8, and I think that Windows 8 was terrible. I think that Windows 8 was Microsoft's worst OS ever. Windows 8 got rid of this whole start menu. Windows 8 made this whole full screen start thing, which I don't know why people liked that, but Windows 10 brought that back because people missed it. It worked. It was very good. There was no real problem with this. Microsoft just wanted to change things because Microsoft thought that tablet computers would take off, but over 2022, Windows 7 got really bad to use. Just playing a basic YouTube video being poorly optimized and taking forever to load, and when it does load, there are pretty constantly some problems, like the resolution is fine, but the frame rate is pretty bad. Another thing that I have realized about Windows 7, the 2 browsers that I found best, Google Chrome and Microsoft Edge, are being phased out in 2023. Using Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge on Windows 7 now is going to be very hard because updates are stopping. Firefox was the worst browser I found, and that's just because it's been a bit slower. It's taken longer to load things, and overall, Google Chrome has just been better. Unfortunately, Google Chrome will be harder to use now. One of the things that I thought that I would have issues with on Windows 7 was app support. Surprisingly, even Microsoft's own apps still support Windows 7, like Microsoft Edge, that works fine. Skype, that works perfectly fine. Things like Discord and Steam, that still works fine. That's surprising to me because there's even some games like Call of Duty Warzone that used to support Windows 7 and not 8. The only issue that I found with Windows 7 is stability and optimization. And the stability and the optimization on this OS have made it pretty impossible to use. Everything has just been really slow. Like if I go onto Amazon on Google Chrome, see, stuff like that, just little issues where it wouldn't even let me go to Amazon. And just going onto Amazon, it takes a while to load in. And that's a problem because a lot of people nowadays will just have something like an iPhone and load into Amazon, and it's already there. Here on the computer, it takes a lot longer. I'd think that even an older iPhone, like this iPhone 10, would be able to load everything a lot quicker than Windows 7 would be able to load in, basic tasks. And that sucks because I always like using computers more. But overall, phones are more powerful than the average Windows 7 hardware. And while a lot of people will keep using Windows 7 and keep trying, I don't think it's worth it. I think that Windows 7, while it was really nice when it came out, my favorite Windows version ever, without a doubt, it is in 2023 pretty hard to use, and I wouldn't recommend using it because it's been out of support for updates for 3 years, and I'm pretty sure security on this is bad. And browser support is now going out too, so for people that are just looking for a browser, a Chromebook would probably be better because Chromebooks are very cheap and they work well for what they are, or just something with a modern version of Windows. Windows 7 was the OS that really made this Aero look, which was basically frosted glass come to life. And I think that this OS looks just as good 13 years later as it did when it came out back in 2009. The frosted glass look is just amazing, especially... Now, one thing about the Aero look is that depending on the hardware, it is hardware dependent. So, some very low-end or old hardware just won't support it, but a lot of Windows 7's hardware does support it. A lot of the hardware that came out after maybe 2007 to 2008 will support it, and I think that it just looks amazing. I think this even looks better than the newest Mac OS. Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Goodbye.